Yeah.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. So, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you're having a great start to your day or had a wonderful day. So, let's get started like we always do by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see
Ji.
my screen?
Ji.
Great. Okay, so we'll get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurudevo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanurmardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, very warm welcome to all of you. So let's get started. Good morning, good evening once again to all of you. A sec. Have we put on the recording as well, Shamji?
Ji, it's on, isn't it?
Great. All right, so let's get started with our segment on soul soup to begin with. Okay, it's a shloka first. So let's do the shloka first and then we'll do it in one continuity. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navdware pure dehi naiva kuruvanna karayan. Yes, Dineshi, let's take three hands. Go ahead,
Dinesh ji,
please.
Radhe Radhe.
सर्वकर्माणि मनसा संन्यस्ते सुखं वसे नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्.
Very
राधे
nice.
राधे.
Thank you, Dineshi. Radhe Radhe. Let's take two more hands.
Sandhya. Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe.
राधे राधे सर्व कर्माणि मनसा संन्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्.
Very nice. Thank you. Radhe Radhe Payalji. Please go ahead.
राधे राधे सर्व कर्माणि मनसा संन्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you. So let's get started. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying the embodied beings, which is none other than us. And they're saying, but the one who are self-controlled and detached reside happily in the city of nine gates, free from thoughts that they are the doers or the cause of anything. So this shloka, we'll talk about this in more detail today. We introduced the concept of witness consciousness yesterday, and we will continue to build on that today. So let's get started first with our soul soup segment. So as part of this segment, we are doing a series on mind management because mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. And spirituality enables us to make our mind our best friend so that we can utilize our mind for our spiritual growth as opposed to doing things and making choices which are detrimental to our spiritual journey. So the psychology, right? There's a study of psychology. If you look at it, there are a lot of theories about the mind in modern psychology. I'll briefly touch upon that. The idea is not to delve too deep into that. Like, for example, we have, okay, too many series. psychoanalysis, we have analytical psychology, cognitive psychology, humanistic psychology, existential psychology, positive psychology, behaviorism. Okay, there are tons of branches around it, psychology, if you delve into that, right? So if we start about, talk about psychoanalysis, it was floated by Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, who has made Western psychology famous, and he's also called the father of psychoanalysis. And it was he first introduced the concept of unconscious mind, Mr. Sigmund Freud. And he actually presented his study in psychoanalysis in Austria to begin with. So what he talks about is he talks about the three things, right? Our psyche comprises of id, superego, and the ego and the superego. It is basically the desires that we make. I want this, I like this, I need to have this, all the basic desires and the other desires that we make. Superego is more about the moral values or the value system that we carry, and ego is which basically facilitates this process. So it's a mediator between your id and the superego. So he's floated that theory, and then there came Mr. Carl Jung, who floated analytical psychology. Now, Jung is called war, right? In Hindi, Jung, Carl Jung. So he picked a Jung with Sigmund Freud. They used to work together, and then he differed in a few things, and he floated his own. This is called analytical psychology. I'm not going to get too deep into that. Where he said the primary goal of life, according to his theory in the psychology, was individualization of self with both its conscious and unconscious mind aspect of it. Then came the cognitive psychology. In this cognitive the higher mental processes such as attention, creativity, language, memory, perception, all these things, problem solving, thinking, and their impact on our behavior was studied. And it is actually used to tackle things such as ADHD, which is called deficient hyperactivity disorder as well. And then behaviorism, there was another theory related to behaviorism where the psychology here disagrees with the psychoanalytical approach and focuses more on external environments and how it impacts our behavior. And then humanistic psychology and so on and so forth. Okay, there was an existential psychology, which was an interesting one, which was floated by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, he was the one who was a Nazi who had to undergo on a concentration camp during World War II, and he survived that. And during those dark hours, he discovered this power of choice, in that you can choose happiness even in the most adverse circumstances as well. And he came up with the famous existential psychologist is known as, and he also called a branch of therapy called logotherapy. And then there was, the modern psychology, positive psychology, Mr. Martin Seligman. He said everything related to psychology is gloom or a negative. Let's focus on the positive part of it. So he's the father of positive psychology. Anyways, it's not a lesson on psychology here. The point I'm trying to make here is that all these branches are good. They are also used to cure certain mental ailments as well, and it presents us tools, but then it barely scratches the surface of a lot of things, because if we all of these things put together, also if you compare it against the Vedic psychology, the way the workings of our mind is so clearly explained in that. In contrast, all the empirical theories of modern psychology, they would be dwarfed, or they will pale into insignificance if we compare it against the astonishing knowledge around how our mind works. And it goes to the fundamental levels of the workings of our mind and addressing some of the ailments that it is afflicted with. And it's not just scratching the surface, but goes much deeper, addresses the root cause for that as well. So it's not just the symptomatic relief or scratching the surface around some of these concepts, but going really deep into how to cure or get rid of these ailments as well, as we'll be able to appreciate. And a lot of Westerner philosophers have also appreciated it. Tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit about it. so that we also have an appreciation around what store or the treasure chest of knowledge that we have gotten access to, how profound and invaluable it is. Okay, so we'll continue on this. It was just to tell you that there's tons of literature on psychology, but if you are reading Bhagavad Gita, which is pretty much the distillation of our Upanishads and our Vedic literature, it's a one-stop shop for pretty much everything and anything that you need to know to lead a successful, happy, and a fulfilling life, not only from a material perspective, but also from a spiritual perspective as well. So with that said, let's move on to our Bhagavad Gita. Okay. What happened? No. All right. So have you wondered about this question? I don't know what's going on with this gentleman. Okay. Have you really pondered upon this question? Who am I? Who am I? This guy, who was that famous philosopher, Western Socrates. So one day he was walking on the streets of Athens and he stumbles across a policeman, right? So this policeman was amused that this guy is simply walking and there's not even people or crowd around and he's stumbling into me. So he said, "Who are you?" He asked this guy Socrates. So Socrates said, "The great question. This is what I've been pondering for the last 40 years. If you get to know, let me know. Who am I?" Because a lot of philosophers have actually debated on this question. Who are we actually? Who we truly are? Now, usually we relate ourselves to a particular label in our life, right? Some kind of a label we carry. Name. Somebody asks you, who are you? You'll tell your name. Now your name could change. You can put it in a newspaper and say, if nobody has an objection, you can put your name as Chiranji Lal or whatever fascinates you, right? And you can really change it. So name is not something, a designation that truly, you know, is something that you can stick with, right? It can change and you may have a nickname or multiple name. Designation, I'm a project manager, I'm a business analyst, I'm a director, I'm a VP, right? Or I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. That is also something that we relate to. Profession, as I said, right? So these are the different things. Country, I'm an American, I'm an Indian. Or religion, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. These are usually the labels or designation we carry with ourselves. Ideology, I'm a Marxist, I'm a communist, I'm a capitalist. However, all these things are something which is not our true identities, what our scriptures are telling, right? These are the identities which are related to our body, which does not really tell us who we truly are. We go much deeper than this, right? So our scriptures give us the answer around that. And also the fact that if we carry consciousness, right, where is this consciousness coming from? Is it the interaction of matter happening within our body that leads to consciousness, as science would have us believe? Now, if we decompose our body, we can actually reduce it to chemicals and purchase those chemicals. And even chemical reactions in chemistry, if you know, under controlled circumstances or an environment, they are reversible. Now, can you create consciousness or life out of it? We cannot. Okay, science cannot answer this question. And is it born out of chemical reactions that is happening through our body? Answer is no. So our scriptures tell us about this, that first get to know thyself, who you are. And there is a relationship between body and the soul. Yesterday we're talking about witness consciousness. Now, first we need to know, it's much deeper. We are not this body. We are not this mind. We are not this intellect. But let's understand who we are to begin with, right? It's not the designation or anything that we'd like to believe that we are because of our conditioned state. Our scriptures tell us there is a relationship that we have with this body, the gross body, that we look at every day in a mirror and relate to. Okay. So the soul is sentient, it possesses consciousness, and body is made up of insentient matter. It is devoid of consciousness. And the body acquires consciousness because of the presence of soul. Okay, it's like when the soul is present in a body, it's like if you put a chandan tika, it will cool down your body. Same thing, if soul is present, it'll permeate consciousness throughout the body, it pervades it. It's like when you are in a garden, the aroma it spreads the aroma, the flower. Similarly, the soul is able to permeate or spread around the consciousness within our body. Mundaka Upanishad explains that it floats in 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. And it's very pure, but because of material contamination, it is not able to exhibit. It's like not manifested. It is covered with the different layers that we have around us. And and that is where we need to purify it from these material layers, or the material layers that we have, that we're going to talk about today, before it can manifest its real quality. And size of the soul is also spoken about in our scriptures, right? It is said that the upper point of your hair, if you take your hair and take the tip of the hair and you cut it into 100 parts, I don't know how we can accomplish it, which tool can enable us to do that, but hypothetically, if we could do that, and then take one part and further divide it into 100 parts, okay? Don't attempt that, because you'll be disappointed. It's very difficult to do that, but it's just to give us some sense of how how minute it is, how minute our existence is, actually fragmental part of God. That is the dimension of a spirit soul. So you can't really see it through any kind of a microscope, high resolution microscope, or whatever it may be, because it is divine, and all these operators are material. It cannot capture it. People say that there have been experiments conducted, and some person who was about to die was put inside a glass, and the glass broke. No, soul does not need some kind of a material pathway to get out of the material things, right? You cannot capture it. It doesn't have mass or anything as well. So that is how deep it goes. It's subtle it is, so we can't capture it. So that is our true identity, that fragmental part that we're talking about. So this is where we're talking about. Now this soul is residing in the body, which is called the city of 9 gates in the shloka. These 9 gates are 2 ears, eyes, 2 nostrils, mouth, the genitals, and the anus, right? These are the 9 gates that um, comprise, um, which is part of our body. And then the soul is in material consciousness, relates itself with the body. We think that is our identity, but only when you are in divine consciousness, you can identify with the Supreme Lord. It is a journey. It's a process to get to that consciousness. First of all, for most part of our life, we continue thinking we are this mind or this body, right? Then if we get this scriptural knowledge, we wake up to the fact or understand, okay, we are soul. But even after knowing that, we don't have that realization. There's a process that needs to be followed for us to get to that realized state of knowing that we are a soul and not this body, right? And that is what we are talking about here. So Shvetasvatar Upanishad also talks about it, and no surprises there, because Bhagavad Gita is a distillation of all the Upanishads and Vedic literature that we have. So you would see a lot of resonance and a lot of commonality and the message across the scriptures, like in this case, this particular reference from this Upanishad. Now, Shakespeare, like we said yesterday, we touched upon the concept of witness consciousness. Shakespeare said, we are all actors, whole world is a stage, right? We are playing the role of a lover, husband, wife, children, parent, employers, all that stuff, right? Much like a costume we don, we portray ourselves each day, hiding some things, divulging others, and always interpreted the people we are with. The characters we play, the personalities we exhibit are akin to the players on the stage of life, right? So this is a kind of a drama that we are participating in different roles and different projections of ourselves, which is more related or more at our gross body level, or at best at our mind or intellectual level. That truly does not resonate with our true identity as such. When we spoke about microcosm of human life, these people, they are too absorbed in this movie, and they're just too happy enjoying this movie, right? And that's essentially in a way what we are doing in this life as well. However, when some dawn happens or somebody puts some light, that or then the reality check happens, right? If you see people now, they are absorbed, but not as much, because now probably advertisements are playing. And if somebody comes and barges in and does something, you will take, your head will turn. You have a bit of a consciousness what is happening around you. It's not as much of a, what you call that, trance that you are in, or participating in the play that is unfolding in front of you, but you have a little bit of mindfulness. How did that happen? Because the light the darkness was removed, at least partially. And that is where the concept of Sakshi comes in, right? So in the first state, your Sakshi is in completely sleeping state. You're participating in that drama, which is what we are doing in this drama of life as well. And in this case, your Sakshi has kind of partially awake state. So you are aware of what's happening around you, and accordingly, you would react as well. And then we had a good discussion around this, right? Which part would you like to be in, right? Where do you need to be? In the audience, you watching the play, as a spectator, or as a participant. I think in Sakshi, we said sometimes we have to take a step back and observe what is going on. We do have that ability because we are not this body, we are not this mind, we are not this intellect. So that means we are much deeper than that, and we can observe each one of these. And the only way we can observe is by taking a back seat and not immediately starting to participate in the drama that is unfolding in front of us. And at the same time, we could be participating in the drama, but we still cannot lose the Sakshi part of it, the witness consciousness that we are talking about. Witness is one who's watching what is happening, which is unfolding in front of you, right? When we talk about witnesses in court, they are the ones who have seen the spectacle, who can talk about it, what truly happened. They can narrate it to the judge, what they saw it. They're not necessarily participating in that, right? So similarly, we do have an ability to step into that mode. And when we do that, we said 50% of the battle is won the moment we take that back seat and become a spectator, rather than participating in that particular drama that is happening. So if you can actually take that step back, it of course needs mindfulness, right? Swamiji was talking about mindfulness is nothing but a toned down version of witness consciousness only, which is spoken about so much these days. Books are written about it. It's a concept even in corporates, they talk about it. But mindfulness, if you go deeper, it's again scratching the surface of something much deeper. The tool, more potent tool that we have, which is called witness consciousness, where you can observe your thoughts, what is going on. So let's continue to build on it today. Okay, the soul has come. Okay, so this soul is okay, it's a pun here. You know what is a soul, right? So the soul is there. Now, conditioned soul in material consciousness does not see itself as a soul, right? We don't see that. We identify ourselves with the body and all the false projections and the designations, like I showed you on that slide, right? I'm so and so. I'm so and so, but not I'm soul and soul. So it could be your gender, age, nationality, anything. So I'm the body. That aspect is there, which is not good. If you relate yourself to this body, this is not good. But it can get worse, right? What is worse? When you identify yourself with your mind. Now you are identifying yourself, the mind, which is much worse than identifying with the body, because then all the thoughts that would come, you would start entertaining them and start getting depressed or worried or agitated or even feeling guilty. Oh my God, why did I think like that? How come I thought about that? So this is even worse. So it starts with good and there is no bad. It just directly goes to worse. Okay. And I am the intellect. It's still not true. And if you're thinking, you are the buddhi part of it, which is able to discern, take decision, say this is right, this is wrong, that also is not right. You might be thinking I am the intellect. There are times, see, this is the biggest problem. This intellect is the reason. See, our mind comprises of man, buddhi, chetana, ahankar. One part of it is thinks, the other part of it is the one which is making a decision whether to go for it or not to go for it. Is it good for me or is it not good for me? Should I go for pleasure or should I go for the beneficial thing? That faculty is called the intellect, which is making a judgment. So your mind can veto, like in UN, there are countries, right, which are special members, permanent members, they can veto any resolution. So if UN is passing a resolution, one member can veto it. Similarly, your mind can veto what your senses and body is craving for. Mind can say, no, I don't want to go for it. Okay. It can veto it, any of the senses, if it decides. And your intellect can override even your mind. It can veto what your mind is going for as well. Right? For example, I'll tell you that it's a very powerful example, Maharaj Ji. So let's say you are very fond of rasgulla or gulab jamun. Okay, let's say donut, to make it a little more universal. and you have been fasting the whole day, and all you have been thinking about is the moment I'll break my fast, I'm going to grab this rasgulla, gulab jamun, and donut and enjoy it in its full glory. And you've been thinking about that, and finally that moment presents itself, and you see a warm donut or a hot cookie in front of you that you always craved for and thought about. That this is the first thing I'm going to sink my teeth into as soon as I break my fast, and it's presented to you right in front of you, and the very thought of it is making you salivate. And when you pick it up, because that's what you're thinking, and you are hungry and you are tempted and you always loved that, and when you pick it up and you about to eat it, and somebody tells you, hey, there is poison in it, so your mind is craving for it, right? It's almost there on the tipping point of enjoying it. Your mind is all bought into the idea of going for it, but your intellect says no, this is dangerous. You'll immediately throw it away. So your intellect has the veto power over your mind as well. Now the problem here is you can't even trust that, because that's not you. Your intellect can also mislead you. Why? Because your intellect goes as per the knowledge. See, your intellect has stacked up a lot of knowledge from different places, right? From people around, from your circumstances, from your experience, from Googling, from your friends, from peers, all over the place. So whichever part of knowledge is activated in your intellect at that point in time, that would enable it to make that decision, and that decision may not be correct. That is where it is said on the path of spirituality, you can't even relate with your intellect, and intellect is very smart. It will never give a decision against itself. It just knows how to justify itself. When you do something, your intellect will justify itself. So this Buddhi Devi Maharaj used to say that, said, Swamiji also reiterates the same, is the reason why we keep on repeating in this world, because it does not become Sharanagat. Even against surrender, your intellect works against surrender. It will give you reason why you are not convinced. Okay, so this Buddhi aspect, if you relate to it, you think what my intellect is telling, that is who am I? No, that is also not correct. So sometimes you have to override your intellect as well. That is essentially what surrender is, where you're not even relating to your intellect. Okay, and that is the Sakshi Bhav, where you simply let it flow. What is happening? What is my mind telling? What my body, my sensation is telling? What is my intellect telling? But can I override it based on the word of Guru and scripture? That is where you can override your intellect as well, because we are not even the intellect. Okay, that is essentially the concept of Sakshi Bhav is here. Yes, I see quite a few hands raised. I think I've probably stirred a hornet's nest here, but let's hear a little, maybe a few questions before we proceed further on this. Yes, Abaji, you wanted to ask something?
In the meantime, Priya ji has a concern. Sakshi
Concern?
Bhav refers to our participation as a detached observer,
Mm-hmm.
disassociating with the body and mind in all situations. Is it correct?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Sakshi Bhav refers to our participation as a detached observer,
Right.
disassociating with the body and the mind in all situations. Priya ji, are you there?
This association with mind and
Body
body
and the mind in all situations.
is
Situations.
not.
In all situations. In all situations.
In all situations, yeah. Here you simply see what is happening as a neutral observer. Okay, don't go by the judgment of your intellect or your mind. Just see what is happening. Observe that. That is what is called Sakshi Bhav. And then you can make decision, especially if you can take that pause, right? Hoping that the right knowledge will get activated in your intellect, and then you can make the right decision. But at least you'll be able to see yourself. How does your mind operate? When do you get angry? When do you get upset? How easy is it to irritate you? How quick it is for your mind to jump to judgments? How easy is it for you to fall into that fear psychosis? When you are observing it, then you can do something about it. And just by observing, you can diminish its intensity as well. That is how powerful this witness consciousness, mindfulness, or taking that back seat is. So the key idea here is don't think that what your intellect or your mind is telling you, that is who you are. Now you may still end up doing something, that is a different thing, but witness consciousness, take a back seat and understand you are much more deeper and subtler than what your intellect or mind would have you believe at that point. So you have to distance yourself from that mind, and that synapses that bond which is there, the moment it presents, you do something about it. We need to break that synapses. Just distance yourself with the thought, and that is that thought or the vice-like grip that it has over you. There's a good chance, it will start diminishing at that point, and you would be able to make a much more measured response as opposed to a reaction at that point. Yes, Avaji, you wanted to ask something? Go ahead, please.
Priyaji has, are you there? Priyaji, I've unmuted you.
Yes, hi. Yes, thank you, Nitinji, for clarifying. Yeah, that does explain my question. Thank you.
Okay, that makes my life easy. Thank you. Yes, Avaji.
Avaji, Radhe Radhe. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe. Avaji, you are saying, but we can't hear you, so there may be some problem in your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So Radhe, I understand the mind, the body, and the intellect. But if you step back, like a lot of times when you're on a conversation, you get this intuition, right? Like you can almost read what the other person is thinking. So do you follow your intuition at that time, or do you step back? Because I get intellect, the mind is doing the thinking, and even if you're observing, right? You're sitting here and observing and listening, but your intuition is very, very strong to say, right, the red flags pop, right? So, or good, not red, I should say green flags, right?
Understood.
But, like, do you follow that, or do you say, no, let me still,
Understood.
listen to the guidance?
It's a good question you asked. Yeah, I think we spoke briefly about it yesterday. So the intuition, right? Has it gotten tuition from your intellect, or it is tutored by God? We won't know that, right? Because it's difficult. In fact, we spoke about is as we keep on progressing in spirituality, this power of intuition we keep on harnessing. We can rely more and more upon it. But to begin with, your intellect could be passing on, that intuition as well. We don't know that in those kind of situations too, right? But as we keep on progressing on the path of spirituality, yes, it's a great tool that we can rely on. There's a gut feeling you have, right? At times, just a gut. You don't know why. Or that intuition that is guiding you, maybe deriving from some deja vu feeling, or maybe your subconscious or somewhere it is coming from. Yes, it's a great tool. But what I'm saying is you have to take it with a pinch of salt, that it could still be guided by your intellect at that point. So the safer strategy is, if you have Guru's word, if you have the benefit of it, go by that. Scriptural knowledge, very clear about it, go by that. Shreyas prayers, like I think in spiritual Kashyap segment, we created that flow, right? Kash had done that. Go by that. It is a Shreyas prayers. Even otherwise, it's sincerity or in purity of intention. So you can create a map for yourself, but intuition could certainly be a good tool there. In some cases, you go with your intuition itself. But like I'm saying, that's not foolproof always. You don't know when it is being guided by your intellect smartly, it is sliding it in, or when it is truly something that you can't explain, but you follow your gut, and you know what, it didn't make sense, but I've gone with it and it made sense, right? Anyways, it may not be a good example, but could be a good example. This guy, when India won the T20 World Cup under Dhoni for the first time, and other than giving it to an experienced bowler like Harbhajan, he gave it to Jogendra Singh. Okay, he was never known after that, by the way, after that match. So somebody asked him why. He said, I just went with my gut. And what is the reason for that? I mean, is it a gut, or what kind of a decision is that, right? It has to be backed with data, some kind of a thought process, analytical understanding. Gut, he said. So sometimes gut works. And this guy, who's this guy? Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. He makes so when I was doing my master's in management, all the financial models that you follow in US, that okay, when you invest in some company, these you go through their ledger and what you call that balance sheets, and then what kind of lot of parameters go into making a decision around it. He turned this whole financial wisdom upside down. Why? I mean, he would go with his guts, just a gut feeling I had. Some people have a strong gut, right? Maybe because of their past sanskar or something that they tap into. So yeah, it's a good question. I'll again clarify it with Swamiji. I've asked him this question related to Karam Yoga also. When do you know that you have tried hard enough and it's time to have a prasad buddhi? Or to continue to retry, because if Edison had given it up for the first time, he wouldn't have invented the electric bulb. And when do we know we need to retry, and when do we know it's time to move on and have an acceptance or let go of it? Gut intuition is the answer. Okay, but then is intuition guided by divinity or something much deeper, or it could be guided by your intellect again? I don't know at this point. Okay, it could be anything at this point, but it's definitely a tool we can tap into in a lot of situations. I know I didn't answer your question, but that's the best I could have done.
Thank you. I just find myself saying, you know what? I will tell my daughter, no. If she'll say why, I said, I'm your mother and it's my gut.
I'm a mother, just listen to me. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, but it's really my gut. I don't have a reasoning for it.
Yeah.
So it's
Sometimes we go with that. Yeah, I get that part. Yeah. But like I said, when we keep on progressing spiritually, this gut or intuition starts getting powerful, because now you have removed the layers between your soul and intellect. So you are harnessing into your true potential at that point. So your intuition will be much more stronger and probably divinely inspired as well at times. There are things you get inspired and you don't know why. How would you explain it? You can't. It's just guided by your intuition in those cases, right? So you can use it as a compass, but take it with a pinch of salt. That may not always be correct. Yes. Oh, by the way, I wanted to announce, since everybody's here, tomorrow we have Swamiji coming in here. So it's always a historical event. So we'll be welcoming him, and we'll be spending more time at temple. There's a good reason for us to believe it's going to take beyond 9 p.m. Tomorrow. Because we may have an extended dinner, because we'll be meeting him after a long time, and you can imagine the enthusiasm devotees would have. So tomorrow's session will be cancelled. I don't like to cancel it, but I think I don't want to take a chance, especially now that Swamiji is coming. So we'll not have tomorrow's session, but we'll resume on Thursday. And this Thursday, we are not going to have quiz, or we will probably pick up a topic related to grit. What is the significance of grit on the path of spirituality? And why do we need to practice it and develop this virtue for us, so that we can march forward and not get disappointed or disheartened, because things may not go well at times. So we'll talk more about grit in the Thursday session. Just wanted to call that out, that tomorrow's session is not on. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to ask something? We do have a hard stop at 10 today, right?
Yes, we have.
Okay, all right. We do have time right now. I'll complete a couple of slides and then we can have a bit of
In the
discussion. Yes,
meantime, Shiramaji has a concern. Where
Concern?
does the subconscious mind fall in this hierarchy? Is it the mind or the intellect?
The conscious mind you're talking about? See, mind has
Subconscious
two
mind.
mind has
Subconscious.
both. Subconscious mind. Yeah, it's part of our mind only. It's not intellect. Can we tap into our, that is, I think, when intellect taps into intuition, maybe a part of subconsciousness it is tapping into. But subconscious is a part of our mind only. And that subconscious is something that we keep on programming throughout. And it is programmed across multiple lifetimes, right? Certain tendencies that we have, but the kind of thought process we have, we are feeding or programming our subconscious as well. So that is why they say the more positive reaffirmations you give yourself throughout the day, the more positive talk you do to yourself. We are always talking to ourselves, right? Little kids, when they talk, they blurt it out. As adults also, there's a constant chatter that is going on inside us. You can do it, you can do it, no, you can't do it, oh, my life is miserable, whatever that chatter is going on. So that chatter is actually programming our subconscious, and it is part of our mind only. So it is said that it's good to program our subconscious so that it's helpful for us, and not something that that could again be not good for us, where a lot of negative chatter is going on, and it can bring in the other negative energies along with it as well, and disappointments and fear and all those negative emotions. Yes, Sandhya, you want to ask something?
Yeah, so in the chat there is a question regarding intuition, whether it is part of the intellect or not. Similarly, like subconscious, I mean, I would also want to ask this, like that you talked about training our subconscious, right? And with positive thoughts, I mean, that somewhere becomes part of our intuition. And another question, similar, so intuition that Abaji was talking about, sometimes it could also be our subtle attachments, which we feel are represented as our intuition, and we are having, say, a strong gut feeling. It could also be our strong biases, subconscious biases, which may come across as intuition to us, right?
Possibly. That's why I'm saying, can we completely rely on intuition? It's a good guiding compass, but we have to take it with a pinch of salt, especially if we have a better reference, right? If you have your intuition versus the word of scriptures, then of course we know which would way better, right? But then if you don't have any such references, then your intuition could be a good guiding compass. But that doesn't mean it's always perfect.
And one more question regarding, so witness consciousness, the way, I mean, a normal person who's Mayadheen will practice it is mostly through intellect, exercising intellect, right? Like through intellect, we tell, distance ourselves from thought and analyze it. So I wasn't
Yeah.
able to understand
The
how
decision making is done by intellect, of course, because that is your interface. Your soul has an interface, right, with the external world. But yeah, you can actually distance yourself from your intellect as well. Like if you look at this one, and this is your mind and intellect, right? So the idea is thought is generated, and then you create a distance. You see how you've created a distance from your mind and intellect. The intellect is also, you say, all right, I can look at it like one of the SMX Swamiji had said that you should what you call, tell your mind that you should make your mind listen to you, and there would be times you have to tell your intellect also to listen to you, because intellect might be giving wrong judgments at times.
No, can we say it is the intellect, educated with the scriptural knowledge is what we should listen to?
True.
Or even,
If that knowledge you can pull out of the hat when the opportunity comes, yes, then I think you have the right tool at that moment, right? So your witness consciousness would be witnessing something which is wholesome, fulsome, and beneficial at that point. But our intellect, if the problem happens that we are not armed with the right knowledge all the time, right? Ignorance is what causes all these dilemmas and stuff like that. So when you become angry, then intellect and all that, you'll forget it, right? Immediately. You can actually come to your intellect and judgment, everything gets clouded at that point. At that moment, if you are able to introduce that gap, witness consciousness, then nothing like it, right? Then that power that thought has over you will diminish. So this is the whole idea. Okay, like the signal, Bluetooth technology, this is a good example. So there's you have to honor or have it within a certain distance for it to work effectively. 33 feet. I think there was a lot of research conducted for, I think, AT&T signal, 33 feet. It works within that mobile device. And if you are going to keep them further apart, then the communication will break, connection will be lost. So similarly, if you are able to dissociate yourself with your thoughts gain or lose power in similar way. Now, if you are associating yourself with mind, if it is mind is you considering yourself as a mind, then you know how much power that thought will exert over you. And all that your mind is telling you, you are simply accepting it. But when you start dissociating it, it's, you create that distance, that grip it has over you, it starts loosening. And instead of energizing it, you are actually starving it and making it weak, as you can see, right? So when you distance it, it starts losing energy. When you associate with it, you are giving it energy. So you have a choice either to energize or to starve it. Any thought that comes to your mind, or any reaction that you would immediately jump upon in a given circumstance. So that's where if you can take a back seat, it's a great tool to have. Okay, a few more hands. We have 15 minutes. Go ahead. Who will go ahead? Chandruji, please go ahead, and then Apanaji and Pratyusha. By the way,
No, it
Kirtan
was,
retreat.
yeah,
you
it
can
was
sign up.
earlier, sorry.
Okay, no worries, Aparnaji.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
yeah.
No
I
worries.
lower my hand already.
Okay, no worries. So Kirtan retreat, I would again encourage you to sign up for it. It's completely free online. So it's going to be a very immersive experience. So do sign up for it if not already. If you're still sitting on the fence, now is the time for you to make that decision. So please do sign up for it.
We
It's
have a
on the
video
list.
as well for it. If there's time, we could show it.
Sure. But let's hear from Aparnaji and then maybe we can play the video as well before we conclude. Yes, Aparnaji.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji and everyone. So this gut feel or intuition feels like the opposite of logic, which is like totally illogical to me, or out of the big box thinking, whatever you want to call it. All our life we are like taught to be
Yep.
so logical. Does it mean that the right brain, creative people work more on intuition and the left brain people use their intelligence and knowledge base to make decisions?
I don't know if there's any statistical study that has been conducted to establish that, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they rely on their gut. I'm one of those as well. I don't know. There are a lot of decisions I have made in my life based on our gut only. Um, it's one of those things. It's difficult to explain. But yeah, it does happen. And then especially when you see results, it reinforces your faith in your gut or dismantles it, right? That I don't have to go with gut. And some people are very, very systematic, organized in life. They will go with data, facts, taking that emotion completely out of it, or intuition as well. So both kind of people are there. You see what works for you on the path of spirituality. If you have guidance, clear guidance, then there's no other question, it's in black and white. But those gray areas, especially when you start getting into those, that's where, these intuition and other things come into play. And those occasions will present themselves for you to make a decision around or make a choice about, right? So you take your best call. And if you have an advantage of having guru around, take guidance from them, take guidance from scriptures, knowledge that we are gaining, and then nothing helps than intuition or with a good intention, and that's about it, I would say. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Yes, Pratyusha.
Radhe Radhe, Vijay sir, Radhe Radhe everyone. So my question is, when we practice mindfulness, it is probably we are coming from our intellect, right? Whatever information, and it will require tremendous amount of willpower that you exercise to be mindful. My question is, when you are actually probably spiritually awakened to a partial extent, can we go back to sleep? Because and on the other side, mindfulness means you have to exert and you keep practicing. There is a possibility of falling down. But when it comes to spiritual awakening, can we go back to sleep?
Spiritual awakening, going back to sleep, you're saying, huh?
Yes.
Actually, if you go by Bhagavad Gita, right, Lord Krishna has said that whatever progress you make, I'm going to preserve it for you. Because otherwise, if you were to get reset every time, then it will be like a zero-sum game for us. We can never proceed. So as part of his mercy, God is causelessly merciful. What he does is that he preserves your spiritual bank balance and presents it back to you whenever you come back as a human at the right time. So you start from that spiritual bank balance that you started off with. At a micro level, you may fluctuate when your bad sanskars come here and there, but at a macro level, he preserves it for you and does not make you start from the beginning every time around. Now, through your bad choices and stuff, if you are degrading yourself, that is a different thing, right? But if you have acquired certain assets spiritually, like for example, if you have conquered your anger to a certain extent, or if you have learned letting go or having acceptance in things around to a certain extent, and you have developed humility to a certain extent, those kind of spiritual or devic gunas, Krishna is saying, I'm going to preserve it for you and give it to you, when you come back as a human, which is a huge mercy from him.
Thank
So
you,
once
sir.
you have woken up, then you can't go back to sleep. Okay, let me put it that. Let's be optimistic, hopeful about it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I think it gives us a lot of assurance and hope that we will not lose our way once we have woken up, and you can wake up somebody who's sleeping, but if somebody is pretending to sleep, then you can't wake them up. Okay, so now we don't have a choice. Okay, now we have woken up. Now we can't pretend to sleep. So we have to continue to march forward. And I think we have all the tools. We have got the guru. We've got the right knowledge. So path is going to be good from, it's a very enjoyable journey if you look at it that way. But yeah, we don't need to be paranoid about it. Let's be optimistic. And then Krishna is himself saying that I'm going to preserve that asset for you. See, in Bhagavad Gita, one is this big mercy that he has, that he's going to preserve all our spiritual assets and present it back to us. And second biggest mercy that he does is that even in the law of karma, the ocean or the stockpile of karmas that we have, we cannot really exhaust it on our own. Think of it, even if one drop we exhaust in one life, in order for us to exhaust the huge stockpile and finite births that we have in that ocean, it would take so many lifetimes. Hypothetically, mathematically, statistically, it is possible. But think of it, in every life, we pour back a few more drops into that ocean. But Krishna says that you just work on increasing your devotion and perfecting your surrender. When you will perfect it, I'm going to burn off your stockpile as a mercy again. The entire ocean is wiped off. It's like you have a dry cotton house, and he's going to burn it off in one shot. So this gives a lot of hope to devotees, and then incentivizes us further to continue to march forward on this path with assurance, confidence, and optimism. Any more questions? Again, to reiterate, we'll not have session tomorrow. We'll put it on the WhatsApp group as well, but just wanted to call that out because Swamiji is going to be here. But we resume on Thursday, which is Friday morning in India, again with a topic on grit.
Can I share the video right now?
Yes, let's share the video, and then we can probably take any other question that might be there. Yes, go ahead. I'm going to stop share. Feedback tracker, if not already posted, can we please post it so that you can fill it up if you have any questions that we could take up in next session. Yes, go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay.
In Kirtan, the whole family can sit together and do it. And in Kirtan, the sleep also does not torment. If you are doing Kirtan, the sleep is warded away. Otherwise, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Ram. Some people say, I went into Samadhi. Now, when you do Kirtan, that Samadhi is also warded off. Because there's chanting going on, the beauty of music is there. See, this is common form in all the religious traditions. The Christians will sing their carols, the Sufi saints will sing their ghazals and qawwalis. And the Bhakti saints who came 500 years ago, they all taught this process of Kirtan. When you are doing Kirtan, the whole family.
So now you know the power of Kirtan, and Kirtan is anyway, it's called the Yuga Dharma in Kali Yuga. And there's the best way to engage your mind senses. Senses are also absorbed, right? If you are doing something at home and somebody knocks at the door or rings the doorbell, you'll get distracted. But Kirtan, all your senses are engaged. You are chanting, you are hearing, you are immersing your mind. So there cannot be any better thing you can do between 19th to 21st. Just sign up for the retreat and immerse yourself. If you are from home, you can get the noise cancellation speakers. Just do that. You'll get the same benefit, same bliss that you experience if you are sitting in the hall with Swamiji. So do sign up for it. If not already, I'm sure you're going to relish it and thank yourself for that. And it's a good opportunity to put it into practice what we are learning in theory here. End of the day, all these intellectual gymnastics that we are doing is to convince ourselves intellectually that we have to do Radhe Govind, Govind Radhe. Now that the opportunity is coming, let's try and test ourselves out in these waters, how easily it is. We can take our mind, and if we force our mind, how we can actually experience that bliss. So proof is in the pudding. So sign up for it and immerse yourself for 2.5 days. Okay, forgetting about the rest of the world. And if you're coming here in person, nothing like it. Dhruvil, are you coming here? We are going to make you Lakshman, okay? You've already been tagged.
That is for Ram Navami, earlier, little earlier than the Kirtan
Okay,
retreat.
then come for Ram Navami and stay back for Kirtan retreat. Okay, your accommodation, food, friends, motivation, everything is taken care of.
And Aparna ji just messaged, I'm coming to Dallas for the Kirtan retreat. She can't miss it.
Oh, awesome, Aparna ji. I look forward to meeting you in person in that case. Guddu, you are staying back, right?
Definitely. Her
Arya is
smile.
going to attend as well. Very nice. Abaji, are you coming as well, or are you coming for the family camp?
Family camp? She's coming to the family camp. Awesome.
Awesome. Michelle, you coming? Are you going to surprise us this time around? No?
You
I
wanna
wish
say
I
something?
could.
Oh, you are?
She's saying, I wish I could.
Oh, you wish you could. All right. You made a wish, it'll happen for sure.
Someday, yeah.
Okay. Madhuchanda ji, okay. I think it's a bit far for you. Rahul is coming for the family camp. Samji, are you planning? Abhinav, you'll be there?
He will be there.
Good. All right. Samji, how about you?
Radhe Radhe. Like I had paid for it. I had all the plans, both of us to
Awesome.
come. But
He's
you know
on-
what I mentioned to you, medical situation in the family,
Okay. No
maybe
worries.
distracting.
Yeah, if you can do it remotely, I mean, you don't have to be in person.
Yeah.
That should be good enough. Yes, Chandan, you are coming as well? Chandan, go ahead. Or you had a question?
No, sir, I cannot come. Radhe Radhe, sir, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Sir, this question was actually coming into the mind that what is intuition, sir?
Intuition is a feeling that you get from within, right? And now is it guided by the Paramatma coming from the soul, or is it your intellect telling you that is something? There's a feeling that you get, right? Let me do it. You don't know why you're getting that feeling from inside. Something is knocking on the door and telling you to do something. That is what intuition is.
So, sir, it is coming from the subconscious.
It could be. It could be coming from anywhere, right? That's where we said, is it born out of your mind? Is the God putting that, planting that thought in your head? Or is it something your intellect is planting? Any possibility could be there. But as you keep on progressing spiritually, you can harness your intuition, because now your odds of coming it closer from Atma or Paramatma aspect increase, right? But then it could be coming from anywhere. And a lot of people rely on intuition as well on this path, right? The gut feeling or the intuition, and they can get it right. Like I spoke about a few examples.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
No worries. We can talk more, Chandan, on this. I know intuition can be pretty fascinating. Okay. Anybody else who is planning to come to Dallas who has not spoken about? We still have 3 more minutes.
I mean, if there is nothing else I wanted to
Well,
ask.
I see her on video and yet I don't see her. Okay, so Kamal, are you going to come as well? Of course you have to, right? Tomorrow I look forward to meeting you as well. We're going to have a warm welcome for Swamiji and going to meet him in person. So it's going to be a great occasion tomorrow. So Druvil, are you planning to come over? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it because I do have a family situation right now that I do need to take a look at. Yeah,
No worries. If you come here, the role of Lakshman is waiting for you. Okay, that much I can tell you. But I hope you're taking care of your family situation.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, it would be amazing because, like,
Sure.
the thing about Lakshman, biggest
Yeah.
Ram Bhakt, right?
That'll be awesome. Meenuji, are you coming? Don't tell us you're not coming. Okay, I look forward to playing table tennis with Vinodji and
Yeah.
beating him again this time around.
We are planning, but Swamiji's first program is in LA, so we want to make sure, everything is,
Okay.
Yeah.
We look forward to meeting you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Monica ji, you're coming? Can we count on you? What kind of
राधे राधे
pressure? What
नॉट
kind of
जस्ट कमिंग नितिन जी डांस करने के लिए तैयार रहो
Awesome. Shyamji, I know if I'll ask you what the answer would be. So, but we look forward to seeing you in one of the family camps. But for that, you have to apply for a visa. Okay, please do that.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay, all right. I know it's time now. Sunil Bhai is already there. He's smiling. So good to see you, Sunil Bhai. Love your t-shirt. And Ajay is also there. So all yours now. I'll give you 60 additional seconds for the day. So Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Again, a reminder, tomorrow's session is not on, but we'll see you back on Thursday, which is Friday morning in India. And over to you, Sunil Bhai and Ajay, for your
Thank-
session. So, Radhe
Thank you,
Radhe.
Nitin. Thank you, Nitin Bhai. Thank you, Sandhya ji. Thank you, Sham ji.